I am your host, FatDag, and you're listening to Wise Advice. My weight loss journey failed when I focused on how. It wasn't until I switched my focus to why that I truly transformed myself. Join the show on the web at FatDag.com and follow along on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all at Wise Advice. Send in your comments, your questions, and your celebrations, and I'll include them as part of the show. But before we dive in, remember, when you're out of points, stop eating points. Hey, I'm honored to be your wingman as we walk through this journey together because I believe in you. Well, hello, welcome to episode 71 of Wise Advice. And I kind of want to open the show and just talk about my day. I started this morning off with a good run. I had to get out and I'm working on my fitness test goal. And it gives me, I'm very concerned with, and I really want to make sure that we all hit our attendance goals. And so we go out, and the whole concept behind an attendance goal is I want you to move every day. I want you to do something every day that keeps you going. But I don't want you to do so much that you can't do it again the next day. So as you work on your attendance goals, at some point, you will get to the point where you start wanting to set performance goals. So I want you to work on the attendance side of things. And at some point, your body will say, hey, this is not enough. Let's do a little bit more. So that's where I'm at now. I've met my attendance goals. Every day I'm getting, something in, but now it's time to step it up. So I went on a run today. Kind of a goal that I'm shooting for is, it's about a 6:50, 6 minutes and 50 seconds for a mile. And I want to do that for a mile and a half. I want to get a mile and a half run in, and I want to do it in 9 minutes, 45 seconds or less. And that'll give me a perfect score on my Air Force PT test. So that's kind of what I'm shooting for. So my run today fell just short of that. I got an 8:22 pace for 2 miles. So 2 miles in about 16 minutes. Very happy with that in general. That's a great score on my fitness test. I'm not going to have to worry about failing the test like I had in the past. But that number is not going to give me that 100 that I'm kind of going after. So I'm going to kind of go after that. I'm going to push myself performance-wise, keeping in mind that I don't want it to impact the ability for me to continue on my attendance goals. So that's how I started my day. And man, it feels really good. When you start your day off with 5,000 steps before you even have breakfast, it's a good day. And you're going to have a good day at that point. And so I ended the night. One of my favorite things is we went out shopping. And I'll tell you, there's nothing like dropping $1 gazillion on a pair of jeans that says I'm at my goal weight and I'm not outgrowing these things. So had a good time. I put the picture on Connect. I ended up getting a couple pair of jeans that didn't even have to try them on, so that's always fun when you just walk in, pick them off the rack and just go home. Size 31s, and so that felt really good. And that's the type of stuff that reminds me that I'm at goal and I'm never going back. I'm never giving this feeling back because it just feels so good. So that's where I want you to get to. And that's where you have the ability to get to there. If you're working this program, if you're listening right now, which obviously you are, then your head is in the game. Your head is ready to get this done because you're staying focused. Now, we may have some difficulties along the way. That's going to happen. But the fact that you're still tuned in means you're engaged, means you want to get it done. So I'll open up the show with Christy out of North Carolina. She writes in and says, hey, Dag, I just wanted to drop a line for you to please let Barbara on episode number 47 know that she is not alone. I have done this with Weight Watchers, and I believe about 5 times now. I was fixing to cancel my membership and stop my meetings for the same reason because I had gained. But then the Lord brought a podcast to me, thanks FatDag, and it has helped me tremendously. The daily inspiration and motivation to keep moving forward, not to let the humdrum of life take over and derail me. I will have bumps in my path, but the road is clear, and I know that we can do this. Don't let the fear of failing get in your way and stop you from attending meetings or connecting on the Weight Watchers app, because I promise, at some point we have all been where you are. Why else would we be at Weight Watchers? Let's connect and stay connected. Thank you, FatDag, for all of your support that you give your fellow wingmen and connectees and your service to our amazing country. Looking forward to one day being at Lifetime. I started with my first Weight Watchers time at 262. This journey I started at 234. Currently, I'm 194. It happens by focus. Christy. Yeah, Christy, that is exactly right. So you don't go from 262 to 194 on accident. You don't wake up one morning and go, oh my God, I had no idea. So you had deliberate focus and deliberate effort that got you down here. You are absolutely right. Canceling does not get you to goal. There are many different ways to lose weight. Weight Watchers is my favorite because it's teaching me how to eat properly, and I can sustain this for the rest of my life. But if you cancel the plan, you got to have a backup plan. Generally, when we cancel the plan, we don't cancel because we have a backup plan. We cancel because the plan we're working isn't working the way we want it to. Most of the time, that's because we're not working the plan as we want it to. So canceling does nothing more than get you a new start date, because your why never goes away. The reason you started this journey, the reason you started trying to lose weight is powerful. It's strong. It's so powerful that it drove you to go pay money to sit into a meeting with people to tell you to eat less and work out more. There's more to it than that. We know that, but your why drove you there. So when you quit on your why, it doesn't go away. It sticks around, and at some point, quitting will just get you a new start date. Now, you're absolutely right. You do not have to be perfect. When you look at your journey and you're down, 70, almost 70 pounds, you're down 70 pounds. During that 70-pound loss, there were days that I'm assure you, there were days that you didn't do well on the plan, but you kept going. So if you've lost 70 pounds with days that weren't perfect, if you continue and just repeat exactly what you did, even the imperfect days, you can continue to have that success. You just need to focus daily. Every day you need to be mindful of, why am I doing this? Why did I join? Why do I want to choose this meal over that snack? Or whatever it is you want to do, all of that plays in. So congratulations on hitting 194, making it into Wonderland. We call you Alice, right? Because now you're Alice in Wonderland. But it takes absolute focus. You're getting it done, Christy, so keep up the great work. Marie writes in and says, I want to thank you for this nagging email. I'm not sure if you send these out in groups or if they are automated, but you caught me for sure. I'm absent in my own health journey. My father died last August, and the last 2 months, my health has been difficult at best. I have just changed jobs, which is shown to be a larger challenge than I thought. Honestly, at the end of the day, those are all just excuses. I am currently in a health crisis, but as soon as I get over this bout of pneumonia, I plan to come back strong. I just want to say thank you. I lost 68 pounds last year, but I put 15 pounds back on. I have to stop the backslide right now. In fairness, I am on steroids at high doses for my breathing, which causes weight gain, but I have not done my part in fighting that concept either. I've just been taking it laying down, which is not my character, so enough. One thing I know is I can't do it alone. I have lost all my weight online only, but that may not be enough anymore. I will report back, sir, when I make my first live Weight Watcher meeting. I appreciate your tireless efforts and wanted you to know it really does touch people's lives. Thank you for listening. Marie. Marie, first and foremost, certainly my condolences go out to your dad last August. So, it's absolutely traumatic. I understand that, and that absolutely is going to impact your journey. And so as you've heard on previous episodes, one of the things I always say is that you do your best every day. Some days your best is just waking up, and so some days, you have to just figure out what your new best is. You can't do better than the day before. You have to do the best given the current set of circumstances. So as you continue to grieve, at some point you will now readjust to a new normal, whatever that new normal is for you. But you got to definitely take the time to grieve, do your best, and then focus on your own health issues as well, so that you can live a long, healthy, happy life. Now, as we work on getting your new normal, you said you've lost 68 pounds, which is absolutely phenomenal work. You put 15 pounds back on. What you need to know about that is you now know, without a doubt, that you can take 15 pounds off. You've already done it once. So you've taken off, you lost 68 pounds. You can get back to that number. If you track, if you stay on plan, you have the ability to get right back there without a doubt. You know you've done it because you did it. You can get there. Now, I see a lot of times when, we get put on prescriptions that have a side effect of weight gain. And I love what you said in your email here, because generally, a lot of times that ends up being the excuse. If we get a medication and the side effect is weight gain, then we go, okay, that's got to be it. And then we don't track, we overeat, we turn to healthy or unhealthy junk food. And then the medication rings true and says, yeah, we had weight gain. But the reality is, a medication with a weight gain side effect, you certainly can still eat healthy. You can mitigate the amount of weight gain that it has by continuing to eat healthy versus completely giving in and using that as a crutch and as an excuse. And you're not doing that. And I'm very happy to see that. Now, you opened up your email saying, thank you for the nagging email. This is exactly why I set that up. So if you notice, you go to fatdag.com, at the very bottom of the main page, you can subscribe to an email newsletter. You can also do it from the Facebook page. The only intent I have with that, I have no intent to market to you. I have no intent to sell you anything. That's not why I have that. I have that because I know how this journey works. I've done this 5 times. It took me 5 times to figure it out. I've quit Weight Watchers 4 other times before I figured out how to do it. I realized it took daily focus. I realized it took my attention 100% of the time to get this done. I also realized that when I didn't have that level of focus and discipline, I could quickly fall off the plan. And it would take 2 or 3 weeks off the plan before I would be willing to give it a go again. So if I had some rough days at it, I needed 3 or 4 days to recover, sometimes a week to recover. So my whole intent with this email is right now, while you're listening to the show, you're on plan, you're on track, you're trying, you're focused, you're engaged, you want to get this done. You subscribe to the newsletter. 3, 4, 5 days from now, something happens, something changes in your life, and suddenly you're not tracking. Suddenly you're not listening to the podcast. You're not checking in to connect. You've skipped a meeting. That happens. We've all done it. And what I hope for that email is that you, when you quit going to your meeting, you quit tuning into the podcast, you quit checking in on Connect. I let a week or so go by. And then boom, out comes an email and it reminds you all of the stuff. And you're like, oh, that's right. I can do this. I can get this done. This guy believes in me. Connect believes in me. And you check back in and you get right back on it without waiting 6, 7, 8 months down the road is what a lot of us do. Every time I quit, it was years before I rejoined back up. I don't want you to do that. I understand that quitting is a very common occurrence as we try and do this. I want you to make the periods of when you quit the shortest as possible so you can piece together a successful weight loss journey. So that's the whole intent for the email. And as Marie said, that's exactly what it did. It caught you. So welcome back. I'm glad to see you here. And every once in a while, so, I got the email list goes out. It seems like once a week or so, somebody unsubscribes from the list, and it's perfectly fine. I get that. But part of me, when I see that, a part of me, it hurts a little bit from the sense of like, man, I get that. My suspicion is if you're in that place where you're now physically unsubscribing, you've completely checked out. And, my hope for those who do is that something will bring them back. If that didn't do it, something will bring them back because this journey is absolutely doable. It's absolutely worth doing. So my hope is that when you subscribe is that even if you got to ignore 1 or 2 of them, I understand that too, but don't unsubscribe from it. Keep it. And maybe at some point it'll remind you to get you back on the journey quicker, sooner rather than later. So thank you for that. Catherine writes in, says, hi, I'm glad you had a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. Glad you were back. I was having withdrawal symptoms. I ran my second 5K, the run walk for the red, white, and blue for the Chenault Aviation Museum in Monroe, Louisiana. I beat my time from last year by about 10 minutes, and I was 25 pounds less than that last year. I'm compiling an email to send you soon with my why, my struggles, and my successes. When, not if, but when I reach my goal, I will send the email. I am 7 pounds away from goal. I can do this. Thank you for being one of us. I realize everything you do for us, but when I listen to your podcast and I read your post, I feel like they are meant just for me. I drove for 5 hours to attend a family reunion. I re-listened to as many podcasts as I could fit in during the drive. My motivation to keep me on track for the next week and a half. Best regards, Katherine. Well, Katherine, you're absolutely welcome. And you're right, I am one of us, and so this weight loss journey, I'm still working a day every day. And I'm tracking today. Everything's great in the tracker today. And I have to continue to do this for the rest of my life. I needed that education on how to eat properly. So now what's interesting that I like about your 5K, and you said that you beat your time by about 10 minutes. There is a formula out there. I'm not a scientific guy. I'm not a detailed person in that regard, but generally speaking, and if you want the details, you can go figure it out. But for every 10 pounds that we lose, it takes about a minute off of your mile run time with the same level of exertion. So, and that's what the Air Force is work on me with. If I need to shave a minute off of my run time, for my mile and a half, a 10-pound weight loss will use the same level of exertion to get me a minute quicker. So the fact that you're down 25 pounds certainly shows up on the clock. Not only does it show up on the scale, it shows up on the clock with no extra effort exerted. So you're definitely proving that. So great job there. I'm absolutely honored to spend 5 hours with you in the car. So I don't understand it. I really don't. And so I joke, but I listen to a couple podcasts, kind of binge listen to a couple on occasion. So I get that concept of spending 5 hours together. I just laugh that you spend 5 hours with me because I just go on. I don't think it's that interesting, but I'm glad to find that you do. But the reason you feel like that the podcast and the post are just to you is because you're really tuned into your why. You know why you're doing this. Now, if this was a podcast about how to lose weight, and we said, track this or eat one of these things, and I gave you a specific food to eat, and a specific time of the day, and a specific workout routine, and said do 10 burpees and do a mile run and do 10 crunches, that wouldn't resonate with a lot of people. There would be a handful of people who could understand that. Like, yeah, I guess I could do that. And of course, they would have some success. We focus here on your why. Everything, we talk about focuses back to why are you doing this? And for the most part, many of us have the exact same why. There's some differences in how it's worded, but it's generally health related. It's generally family related. It's generally something about our kids or our parents or something along those lines. So between that why, it's so similar for all of us. So we keep it general, and your brain fills in the dots. Your brain goes, yeah, that's my why too, because of this scenario. And then you can kind of give it more detail. So it does feel like that we're talking directly to each other when we do this, because we have the same goal in mind and we have the same why driving us. It's slightly different, as when we start working in some of the hows, but that's kind of the answer there. Now, what I want you to do is continue doing what you're doing, is focusing on exactly why you're doing this. Keep your motivation going, and thank you for being here, Katherine. I'm so glad, and I can't wait to see when you get that 7 pounds in and you reach your goal weight, you step on the scale for the very last time in a weight loss mode. You step on the scale and you say, I do not want to lose any more weight. I'm telling you, there's no feeling in the world like that. That is the greatest thing that I felt in my entire life was the day that I hopped on the scale and I said, I don't want to lose any more weight. You're 7 pounds away from there. You're in that place where you feel really good. I bet you look really good. Your activity level is phenomenal. You're at a point now where you very easily could call this good enough. You're in that stage where there's a lot of people who get right to where you are and they never make goal. They never push past that little bit of complacency to get something they've never had. I promise you, if you push forward, and you lose these last 7 pounds and you get to a goal weight, a true goal weight, a goal weight where you say, I no longer want to lose any more weight, man, that email that you write in is going to be full of emotion. I can't wait to read it. So thank you. Next up, David writes in, and David says, Mike, lifetime. Can't tell you what a great feeling this is considering the last 2 weeks. I'll recap. On Sunday, May 21st, I lost my vision due to a ruptured blood vessel in my left eye. I was blind in that eye for 3 days. I went from 110 fit points and 110,000 steps a week to 34 fit points and 35,000 steps in a week. Surgery happened on May 25th, successfully, but I was told working out and running would not happen for 2 or more months. Even with my vision gone, I wanted to stay in control of something. I did not want lifetime to slip through my fingers. I worked so hard to get the weight off, I was going into week 4 of maintenance. 2 days after surgery, at my weekly meeting, I stepped on the scale, 186.4, up 5.6 from the prior week, 4.4 pounds above the lifetime requirements. I was sure that gain was due to lack of movement and the number of IVs given during the procedure. The Weight Watcher meeting weekly topic, walking, which is mindset 3 of podcast 56, and adapt, I decided that I was not going to let it beat me. So I walked my normal run every day. No, it wasn't easy, but I did it. In addition, I went back to the basics. I became a superstar tracker. Mindset number 2 of podcast 56. And then this morning I listened to podcast 56. You can do this. Your insight on mindset reinforced my activities. Thank you for being mine and many others' resource and coach. Thank your family for giving up their time with you so we can all benefit. Here I sit at lifetime, accomplishing a goal that has improved my life and will continue to improve my life. Lifetime is doable. It just takes focus. David. Well, David, dude, I am so, I can't tell you how proud I am of you, man. This, reading this story, and I want to touch on it in a little bit. And this email came in a couple weeks ago, and it takes me some time to get to some of them. But I wanted to make sure that we address this because you hitting lifetime is phenomenal work. You had a set of challenges that very easily could have derailed you. And it's scary stuff. And so I can't even imagine what you went through to get to this point. But I'm so proud of you for focusing on your why. I'm glad you're okay. And I'm glad your why was so strong. And you knew exactly why you were doing this. You focused on your tracking and you got it done. Now here is where I'm the most proud of you. So during your weight loss phase, you were averaging 110 fit points a week on 110,000 steps. You know, that certainly plays into your weight loss. There's no doubt that level of exercise plays into your weight loss. But when that had to go away for you, you know, you weren't relying on that. You knew how to track. You went right back to tracking and you went into superstar tracker mode, which is how we get this done. I had a chat the other day with a friend of mine online, and she's very close to hitting her goal weight. And the first thing she said was, I know the weight loss slows down as you get closer to goal. And my response to her was, well, it doesn't necessarily have to. Because as you get closer to goal, what happens is a lot of us, you know, we track a little less. We grab one extra potato chip. You know, we reach over and grab a French fry off someone's plate at dinner. All of that plays into it. And so, David, where you come in is you understood that in order to compensate for the inability to continue to work out, you had to go back into tracking mode and you had to be really disciplined in your tracker. And that is what drove you to goal. That is what got you lifetime. And that is what's going to continue to improve your life for the rest of your life. So, great job. Thank you for your email. It's always a pleasure to see you on Facebook as you pop in. It's always cool, and I'm so honored to be able to read this and share with your success. You're getting it done. You're doing fantastic work. Now, continue to model that great behavior so that others understand exactly what we're going after. Very, very cool. So, Just a side note, when this episode hits the air, this is another new milestone. And every month or every week, I got something new to report, and it's kind of fun. This show will mark, so here we are, middle of June. And so for the month of June, this show will breach over 100,000 downloads for the month of June. It blows my mind. So thank you for all of you who are out there listening, whether you're on iHeartRadio, whether you're on Stitcher, whether you're listening on YouTube or Facebook or directly from the FatDag app, the Wise Advice app, or you're subscribed to iTunes. However you're listening, you're getting it done. 100,000 downloads in the month of June. And we're not even done June. We're halfway through June. So that's incredible. So go to fatdag.com. While we're going to close the show out here, go to fatdag.com. Make sure you're subscribed to the email newsletter to remind you why you're here. You're strong right now. While you're focused, go get it done. Get signed up. Because you can prepare yourself for a day when you're not as strong as you are now. Continue to do your best. Your best will change daily, but you have the ability to get it done. Now, lastly, I want to know what you're celebrating. As you know, if you've listened to the show, this show revolves around you sending in your celebrations, you sending in your comments. I don't pull from Connect. I read a lot on Connect. I see you tagging me on Connect. But I'm not going to pull that data unless you specifically send it to me, because I don't want to. I want that community to stay private and exactly how it was designed. You know, I think the second we start sharing things that you didn't ask to be shared, it's a whole mess. So if you want it shared, you've got to send it to me. Go to fatdag.com, click on Listen Now, send in your celebrations. You can email me at onair@fatdag.com. If you send them in, I'll work them in as part of the show. That is going to do it for this time. Remember, losing weight and getting healthy has absolutely nothing to do with luck. You have to remain disciplined and focused. Set your sights on your goal and go after it. I wish you good focus.